The next generation of Nintendo is here, as the Nintendo Switch 2 is now available. After 8 years of the massive success that was the original Switch, Nintendo has graced us with their largest power jump in company history, launching with a major system seller and some third-party games that you may consider picking up. I've had the console since the night of its launch, and I've had quite a bit of time to mess around with the hardware and the software. I wanted to make a video talking about my general impressions, including all the positives and the negatives, but I wouldn't really consider this a review of the sort. Game reviews I can do. Console reviews, that's a touchy subject. But with all that being said, let's go over the console itself first. One of the first things I noticed was how small the packaging was for the console, especially in comparison to the box for the original Nintendo Switch and even the Switch OLED, the general style of it following the latter. Packaging inside is very compact and uses almost all the limited space it has, although I'm not the biggest fan of the console and the new Joy-Cons being right on the top, especially since I've heard of a few cases of Switch 2s being ruined because someone stapled a receipt to the top of the box. The GameStop I bought my console from stuck this sticker on the bottom of it, and now I'm nervous about taking it off because I don't want to damage the box. The console itself is a lot bigger than what I was expecting, especially when compared in size to even an OLED Switch or the Steam Deck. The Switch 2 feels the most comfortable to hold in comparison to both of them as well, and that's mainly thanks to the new Joy-Con 2 controllers. As someone who has bigger hands, the Joy-Con 2s fit really nicely into my palms, avoiding the problem of me feeling like a giant with the last generation. The general texture of the controller and the console itself feels a lot more premium in comparison to the original Nintendo Switch. Not to say the original system felt cheap by any means, but it does kind of feel like that in direct comparison to the Switch 2. The general feel of the buttons is much better, and the sticks feel incredible. While it looks like the same parts were used from the original Switch Joy-Cons to create these new ones, it seems like they did something different this time to make the sticks feel so smooth to move around. I don't know if the sticks feature any sort of Hall effect or of the sort, or if there's like a Nintendo version of it, but the sticks are a vast improvement compared to the Switch 1 Joy-Cons. The Joy-Con 2's SL and SR buttons are much better as well, and they also act as the spot for the magnets that allow you to snap the Joy-Cons back onto the Switch 2 console. You can pull and pull and pull on these things, and they will not come loose. And the feeling of hitting the release button and pulling them off that way feels therapeutic. Do it again. I don't have much to say on the new mouse mode for the two Joy-Cons, since I don't really have any games that take advantage of it, but I can at least say that going through the system menu with a mouse cursor is kinda cool. While the kickstand is a bit thinner than the one included with the OLED model, it feels just as sturdy and reliable to me. And as far as the system itself goes, at least the look and features on the outside, I don't really have a lot of negatives to speak on, at least at this time. It looks good, it feels good, that top USB port really helps when playing in like handheld mode or tabletop mode. It's a good system overall. I haven't really messed around with the HDR support either, but from what I've heard, it's pretty poorly implemented, so I hope a few patches in the eventual year or so will help sort of redirect what they were trying to do with HDR. The dock seems much sturdier than what was offered on the original Nintendo Switch, but the one thing I'm still trying to figure out is how this back panel properly attaches. I think you just press it in to lock it in like this, but there have been a few times that I've struggled to get this damn thing back on, but it might just be me. One concern I do have is that there is a bit of give on the dock. What I mean is squeezing it here will cause the dock to sort of press together in an uncomfortable way. But if you're going to hold the dock for stability when placing your system inside, try holding it closer to the bottom to avoid the giving issue. The dock features pretty much everything included in the Switch OLED dock. 2 USB-A ports on the front, HDMI and power plugs in the back here, and a built-in Ethernet port, which I'll probably never use while I still live where I currently do. That's mainly because of where the router in my house is, and I don't feel like dragging a 50 to 100 foot Ethernet cable from down in the living room to my upstairs bedroom. I'm not saying I don't believe in it, I'm not an Ethernet atheist. Let's jump over to the console's UI, which I thought I wasn't going to be a big fan of because it's almost one for one like the Switch's UI. But the more I thought about it, the more I was okay with it. All of the newer features that were added in the original's updates are all here and accounted for, and each little tab down here makes their own little noises when you boot them up. The biggest improvement by far is with the Nintendo Switch Online app, as in it actually fucking loads. The same goes for the Switch 2 eShop. This is just so much better. Thank you. And it looks a lot better too. Like, my god, the last one looked terrible. I still wish there was a proper app to track game time other than through the friends list of all things, but at the very least it starts tracking your time a bit faster on the Switch 2, since I believe for the original Switch you had to wait like 10 days or something to start seeing the amount of hours you have with the games, which was so bizarre. Before we begin talking about the software I bought, I wanted to talk about the accessories that I purchased for this system. I bought a 256GB microSD express card to have some extra space for down the road, and considering that most first-party Nintendo games don't take up too much space, I should be fine for a while. You know, keeping my fingers crossed. Next up was the new Pro Controller, which after using it for the past few weeks, I believe that I can say with full confidence that this may very well be the best controller Nintendo has ever made, even in comparison to the original Nintendo Switch Pro Controller and the GameCube controller. The texture, the general shape, and especially the sticks feel so good on this controller. There's also the added GL and GR buttons, which so far I haven't got much use of outside from one game in particular, but I think once I start playing even more games on my Switch 2, I'll get even more mileage out of them. Speaking of controllers, I also managed to purchase the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube controller, which so far is probably the best modern interpretation of the GameCube controller. Much better feeling than the new controllers they made for both Smash for Wii U and Smash Ultimate. It's essentially a modern Wavebird controller. This pairs really well with the GameCube Nintendo Classics app, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I didn't get an official case from Nintendo, but I did buy this GameStop all-in-one carrying case, and yeah, this is all I need. Plenty of space to put controllers and accessories, and the top detaches as its own smaller case for the Switch 2. Best part though is that this thing is significantly cheaper than the official case sold by Nintendo. Like, come on, this case shouldn't cost $80, especially when the Switch 1 equivalent was almost $30 cheaper. And now for the things you probably clicked on this video to see. How do I feel about the games themselves? We may as well start with the big boy. Let's talk about Mario Kart World. I've played a lot of Mario Kart 8 since its original release back in 2014 and with the re-release in 2017. But does Mario Kart World do a great job at being a worthy successor? Yeah. Yeah, it does. I know people will look at World and try to write it off as inferior to previous entries because it didn't come with 48 tracks at the start like Deluxe did. But you gotta remember, the only reason 8 Deluxe had that many tracks to begin with was because it included the 16 tracks of DLC from the original version of 8. And including all of these intermission variations for tracks, there's over 202 unique routes to take. The new racing mechanics do a great job at distinguishing this game from previous entries, thanks to the addition of wall driving and rail grinding. At first, the game will slowly ease you into the additions into the tracks, but once you get to tracks like Airship Fortress, Great Question Block Ruins, and Bowser's Castle, this game will let you get nutty with its tech and movement. But the star of the show is definitely the new Knockout Tour mode. It's the closest Mario Kart will ever get to a battle royale outside of battle mode, and it leans into the more chaotic nature of Mario Kart in a way that keeps the mode really engaging and fresh. I've been enjoying my time in free roam, but I'm losing a bit of motivation to complete everything. They have a lot of these tiny collectibles scattered around that you can get, but there's no big reward for doing absolutely everything. I mean, if you want to get all the stickers for your cart, be my guest, but it's just an aesthetic thing. But the biggest thing that has bothered me to no end with Mario Kart World is how you unlock the new NPC drivers. So there's this new Kamek item that will have Kamek travel down the track, releasing his magic onto the racers. This magic will turn you into one of the random NPC drivers from the game. Characters like Goomba, Pianta, Fishbone, Wiggler, Cataquack, characters like that. If you transform into a character you don't have, you'll unlock them once you go back to the character select screen. This is really cool, until you realize that this is the only way to get these characters. You don't unlock them like the mainstays you get from Grand Prix, and you can't find them to unlock them in free roam. It's only from being turned into these characters with the Kamek item. And certain characters can only spawn on specific tracks and intermissions on the map. So I spent a straight week grinding for this fucking item on Peach Beach so I could unlock Cataquack, only for the item to transform me into the damn crab every single time, even though it's one of the NPC drivers on the starting roster. And the moment that I finally unlocked Cataquack, it became my victory day. I finally got the character I was the most excited for in this game, only to drive on the Boo Cinema intermission in the next race and get people on my first try. You see the problem? Legitimately, that's the only big issue I have with Mario Kart World, at least when it comes to the software side. It's packed with lots of content. Going through the open world is fun, the new mechanics really distinguish this game from its predecessor, and it unironically has one of the best rosters of any Mario Kart game. But is it worth $80? In my personal opinion, no. And that's not because I think Mario Kart World doesn't have enough content to justify the price. I just think that no game should be $80, especially when Nintendo's games have been $60 for the longest time. Tears of the Kingdom was $70, but at the time, that was the exception to the rule. So to see them jump straight to $80 for their first major release for the next generation is a bit concerning. I think that this game is a must-buy for any Nintendo Switch 2 owner, but if you can catch a rare sale, or if you can buy it secondhand, or if you can get it included with the bundle, please do that. I only got it physically because I wanted a physical copy for my collection. I was willing to swallow the extra price. So in between the writing and recording of the script, Nintendo released a new update to the online matchmaking for Mario Kart World, making it so selecting the random select also includes the courses that the game provides to you when you're picking a new track. Many players were using the random option to get more 3-lap tracks included in the online rotation, but this change has effectively killed that strategy, and it wouldn't be a problem if 3-lap tracks appeared more often in track selection online, but not everyone wants to play the intermission tracks, and I hope that Nintendo kind of fix this, because they're sort of forcing this on the player base, and I think that's just really stupid.
But yeah, no, she just was not able to beat Safer Sephiroth.
I'm climbing the truck.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yo. Oh.
Push me up so then you can push.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes!
Rid of the truck.
That's what time trial mode would be for that.
Yeah, I like this.
I'm crying.
Dude, I love Mexico.
I'm looking at the Discord and I'm seeing people like comment on that race, and they are definitely the ones in this lobby.
What were some of the comments?
You know what?
Boss guy said
Oh my god. You did? Wait, hang on.
What I
It's
do?
no longer. It's no
What did
longer.
I do?
Whoa! Wait.
Now let's jump into the world of Zelda with some updated thoughts I have on Breath of the Wild, thanks to the new version of the game. I haven't done a full playthrough of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom since the reviews I made back in 2023. I consider both games fantastic entries in the series, though Breath of the Wild has still stayed on the top of my Zelda totem pole, with Tears of the Kingdom in a close second place. So when I saw in the Nintendo Direct that these games were getting resolution and frame rate upgrades, I may have had a particular reaction to it.
Now someone will post the perfectly balanced.
Tevi has achieved endless nuts.
It's in 60 frames! I was only going to play a bit of each game to get my thoughts together, but I ended up doing like a whole half playthrough of Breath of the Wild while I was writing the script. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I love this game so much, and now everything is stable in a beautiful 1440p and a buttery smooth 60 frames per second. With Breath of the Wild, it was like I was playing the game for the first time again. And to take the developers' words for a second, this felt like this was what the game was always meant to look like. The whole experience just felt smoother, the pop-in isn't as noticeable anymore, and these fucking load times are freaking me the hell out. Usually I look at my phone when I'm going in or out of a shrine, but I can't do that now because of how quickly everything loads. It's like jumping from the original Sonic 06 to Project 06. I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience with that shit. I tell you what, the muscle memory was fucking me up something fierce when I got started on this new playthrough. I plummeted to my death after teleporting back to the tower because I forgot I didn't have my paraglider, and the amount of times I hit up on the D-pad to try and fuse a material to my arrows is in the hundreds at this point. But getting to mess around with Magnesis, Cryonis, the bomb rooms, and especially Stasis again was such a joy. Take me, Jerry! Woo! I took things slow at first, but once I finished the tutorial proper, I decided to mess around with this new Zelda Notes feature in the Nintendo Switch app, which is exclusive to the Switch 2 editions for both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. This is essentially a second map that helps you locate side quests, named locations, Korok seeds, overworld bosses, and even the new voice memories. I haven't gotten them all yet, but I have listened to enough of them to have some appreciation for them, though I do wish these were heard in-game and not through the app itself. There's also a daily bonus you can roll for, and the app will keep track of the amiibo you scan and give you a free scan after 5 uses, which is pretty cool if you're grinding in Breath of the Wild for those legacy tunics and the extra weapons. I have yet to do pretty much anything with the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm definitely playing it again soon once I wrap up a few other playthroughs I'm doing right now. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video at some point, and I don't know, I might throw in the Link's Awakening remake in there as well. Who knows? While not every game is getting a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, there are some Switch games that are getting next-gen patches for free that improve frame rate, stability, and resolution. And the one that piqued my interest the most was the free update coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which was kind of a surprise for me personally because my experience overall with Pokemon is very limited. I did play a lot of the Generation 2 remake on the DS and the original Game Boy version on my 3DS years later. After that, I had a long absence from the series until Pokemon Legends Arceus. There was just something about that game that just clicked with me. And I was going to go back to my Arceus save file to look back on my playthrough, but my save file is gone! No! My shinies that I'm pretty sure I had, but now I won't know for sure because it's gone! I did get Pokemon Scarlet a bit after it came out because of how much I enjoyed Legends Arceus, and I dropped it about a week after. But with the new patch for the Switch 2 dropping on day 1, I don't know, I think I finally got back into it. I thought I was only going to play the game for like a few days, but before I realized it, I completed the final boss and started all the post-game content. I don't know if this big interconnected open world like this is really the direction to go for Pokemon, but I'm also having too much fun with it for me to really care. See all these Eevees? This is for completely reasonable and legal reasons, I assure you. The game runs at a much better frame rate and resolution, but a lot of the major lighting glitches and pop-in is still extremely noticeable. But the gameplay loop was too much fun for me to really care. It's still a major problem, no doubt, and I hope that with Generation 10 they make something that looks and feels much more stable. As far as any other big games, I can't really say that I've dived back into my original Switch library as much as I thought I would. I mean, I've booted up a few out of curiosity, but I haven't really delved too deep into any of them. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition runs like a legitimate video game now with a buttery smooth 60 frames per second in both TV and handheld mode. And it even runs at 1080p in handheld mode thanks to a programming error from the original. I did boot up Smash Ultimate just for the hell of it, but it's so weird seeing all the costumes actually load when you get to the character selection screen, and surprisingly enough, the new Switch Online GameCube controller registers in-game as an actual GameCube controller. Oh yeah, I gotta talk about this thing. So despite how excited I was for GameCube games to make their way over to the Switch 2, I actually haven't messed around with the GameCube Classics app that much. But you can do the boot up screen from the original, so I mean, it's a certified hood classic now. By the time this video goes up, we'll have the Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2, and Super Mario Strikers on the service. And there will be more games on the way than this coming year, but there are a few glaring omissions, like no Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Mario Golf, and Tennis, and none of the Mario parties have been confirmed yet. But I'm sure this will get rectified with future updates, and hey, maybe we might get some of the GameCube Sonic games at some point, like SA2 Battle or Sonic Heroes? Yeah, man can dream, right? The last major feature I want to touch on is Game Chat, which surprisingly works really well. Like, yeah, the audio quality isn't the best, and the screen share quality isn't good, but the first point isn't super important, and the second point was intentionally designed that way so games can keep running the best that they can. So far, I haven't used Game Chat too much, but I've used it enough to get a basic grasp of it. This is going to be so good for kids or younger teenagers who aren't able to use Discord and the like for various reasons. And I know that was a major point of contention around the feature's reveal, since why wouldn't you use Discord instead of Game Chat? But kids that are on the younger side don't have Discord, and not every parent is going to let their kids use Discord until they're older. Game Chat is secure thanks to the use of phone numbers, and even with the Nintendo Switch Parental Controls app, parents are able to choose who their kids use Game Chat with. I see this as nothing but a win. Nintendo has always been family friendly, and I'm really glad to see that they have the safety of younger players in mind when creating online features like this. And even for the adults, it's pretty entertaining. Being able to hop on and screen share with another person playing Mario Kart World and traveling together that way, it's so fun. I didn't have a camera to test out or anything, but the noise canceling on the built-in microphone is fantastic. I was snapping my fingers right in front of it, and it still wasn't coming through on the other person's end, but my voice was still coming through just fine, and that's really impressive. I'd like to get in a normal amount of people to mess around with this in the future, just for the lulz. I think this is a strong start to the Switch 2, and I'm really excited to see where the console stands within the next few months, or even by next year. With games like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment coming out soon, I know for sure that I'll be getting a lot of use out of my Switch 2. Hopefully as we go on, Nintendo will go back on a few of the mind-boggling decisions they've made for this generation, but I believe it's too early to say for sure. So if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. My personal life has gotten a bit in the way of making content, but I'm hoping to pump a few more projects out by the end of the year, so make sure you stay tuned. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.